Good morning and welcome to the Scenic Regional Council special meeting for Monday the 24th of June 2024, which I now declare open. I believe we have a full attendance today with no apologies, and there are no declarations of interest by members. So we'll move straight to the consideration of business and to item 5.1, and I call on the Deputy Mayor to introduce that item, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move a motion that I don't mind turning my back to you. That motion being that Council receive and acknowledge the community consultation and feedback on the 2024-2025 budget consultation, including the community representatives who will make verbal submissions here today. So move.
Thank you. So we will now You want, okay, you're going to happy to second that. Thank you. We will now move to hearing those submissions. And
sorry, are we going to a vote?
We'll need to vote.
Yes. You want to move to a vote before you hear the submissions?
Well, so that we can receive them.
Yep.
Yes.
To receive, thank you. All right, I put it to, did you want to talk to your motion, Deputy?
No, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Now we will hear the submissions. Thank you. And I believe the groups, we're having one speaker per submission for a period of 5 minutes. And I'd like to now call upon Valerie Rogers. Thank you, Valerie.
Sharon, she's got PowerPoint.
Yeah, I do.
Thanks, first of all, for the opportunity to do this. It's appreciated. I am representing the Tambourine Mountain Swimming Pool. I'm Valerie Roger. I've lived on the mountain for about 25 years and frequented the pools in the summer, but obviously not in the winter time. Key thing is I'm not here to ask for money, actually, at this stage because it's too early, but I am asking for consideration for some of the research that was done by the council. Thank you for doing that. The recreation and looking at people's attitude toward wanting to swim, and I think it was acknowledged that obviously more accessibility to the pool, this is Tambourine only, more accessibility to pool, either longer operating hours into some of the winter months or even year round. So look, based on that and looking at J. Clark City Venue Management has actually acknowledged, and I understand it was an interview with the Tambourine Times, but he did acknowledge that he's open to the possibility of permanently extending the operating season, whether that be just in the operating season or maybe year-round to accommodate winter months. But he did talk about issues like staff retention and then obviously things like children's water safety and overall community health. And according to the research, I think you spoke to 204 respondents through Boonah, Tambourine and Beaudesert. Boonah's kind of a bit of an outlier because they do have year-round access to some of the core groups, which is the Learn to Swim kids and also the Aquafit. So they have heated pools, so they do have year round, and actually that's probably from Tambourine perspective some of the larger numbers in one group. And so obviously looking at core groups, and I've identified the core groups. You've got the Learn to Swim and the early years learning, you've got the local school curriculum and also 8 lessons from the government, but that curriculum only allows time for the schools to come in when the pool is open. You've got the Aquafit group, which is tending to be the older demographic on the mountain. You've got the squad swimmers, which are often there at 6 o'clock in the morning because then they have to go off to work into Brisbane or wherever they work. You've got the regular lap swimmers, which are also open age, and then you've got the recreational drop-in swimmers. What I'm suggesting is that, like the conundrum model, the pool could probably close between 10 and 2 every day in the summertime because nobody's there. I mean, I go to Runaway Bay pool because that's accessible all year round, and there's nobody there. I'm often the only person in this full-size Olympic pool, so I know that there's sort of flexibility in times that you might be able to make the pool accessible. And all I'm really asking today is, because I can't bypass council to go to City Venue Management or whoever operates the pool and say, look, when's the core groups need to come in? And I'm guessing that lap swimmers are probably first thing in the morning. So say you went 6 till 10 and 2 till 6, you could probably cater to and accommodate those key groups, which are those learn to swim kids. They're the aquafit lady group or mixed lady group now, and also the lap swimmers. Rec swimmers kind of tend to drop in and out depending. And so all I'm asking is a meeting with city venue management who organise all the operations, and they've already said that looking at the heating capabilities, whatever Tambourine can offer, all I'm asking is that maybe we can sit down with a representative from there, a representative from somebody that regularly operates the pool behind the desk, either Sue or I think Ian is also a regular worker there when they're open, and probably one of the somebody from the public, just to say, well, who does what and when. My push is the key group are those kids that learn to swim, because they get 6 months of swimming and then they've got nothing. And if they're lucky enough to have a pool at their house, in fact, somebody advertised the other day for a swim coach, it is literally a 2-hour round trip to go down, swim and come back, or go down, learn to swim, come back. So you're looking at about $15 in petrol and $15 in how much it's going to cost. And so from a community service perspective, of course it would be ideal. But I'm not even saying that. I'm saying let's look at maybe adjusting the hours, and to the point where even trialling, and I think back in 2018 you actually did trial and not many people did turn up for extended hours, but that's the onus on those people that want that pool open, and if they're not prepared to support it, well, then don't open it. But at least now, sort of 6 years later, can we give it a go, talk to city venue management, see what Jay Culloch thinks of what is an ideal thing to do, what would work, what wouldn't work, and just give it a try, either before the summer season starts or even at the end of the summer season, just to see if those people that want the pool are prepared to support it when it is open in those skeleton hours. I mean, that's my push, and that's my only push for today. I think, looking back at these core groups, you've got some pretty serious swimmers there, certainly they learn to swim, you know, and just as a matter of interest, 83% of kids when they leave grade 6 cannot dog paddle or sit in the water for 2 minutes. They can't. This is Australia, like this is our swimming nation. And I know that because my grandson has just done a whole research project on rural life saving, and they can't swim. Our kids leaving school can't swim, you know. And so even that as a service, I think would be worth considering. And then again, look, not knowing the business model for city venue management, maybe you can get people to sponsor the pool from outside, just local businesses, just the way they do with the soccer and some of the other sports as well, to help to sort of buoy that funding. And so basically I'm just requesting a meeting with Jay Clark and a couple of other people just to look at that feasibility of opening the pool for potentially extended hours.
Valerie, thank you very much for your presentation. I think you made some very strong points, particularly around our youth. And I had a similar experience myself, but I would open it to the floor for any questions.
Dr. Roger, you've mentioned these learn to swim groups as your core focus. What about the elderly who use the pool for fitness? I know the Tambourine Mountain Medical Centre is a strong advocate of extra opening hours for that reason. Given that we have absolutely no public transport to get anyone from the mountain to the pools that are run by Gold Coast City Council, I've been speaking to the senior citizens on Saturday, and they've said that they either have to drive themselves, and many can't drive, and they're carpooling because of the lack of public transport. So are you finding that the younger swimmers are also going off the mountain in numbers to learn to swim?
Anecdotally, I think that a parent that wants their kids to swim, I think yes. I mean, as I said, Queensland offer 8 lessons a year, which, you know, that's a whole nother argument, to kids to learn to swim. Nobody can learn to swim in 8 lessons, and that's what they offer through the school curriculum. And so obviously, but they obviously have that in January and February at the pool. But other than that, yeah, they're either going off or they're just not doing it. So kids are not swimming for 6 months. And I just think that even that, let's say, it limited hours, and I know that Boona have got that opportunity, and I don't know what the yield is there, and I don't know if the place is empty just the way some of the local pools are, but they do have that opportunity. But at the moment I'm going down to Coomera because that's the closest pool for us, and their water temperature's at about 27, 28, and I know obviously this is all about money, and it's the financials of keeping those filters running, the pool at a reasonable, all of that is something that's got to be considered on somewhere like Tambourine Mountain, and I know that's where the cost comes in. But I also think that maybe, I said, talking about the business model of city venue management, if sponsors came in and said, okay, we'll donate X amount of dollars, or we'll donate transport to and from, things like that. But at the moment, it's obviously run by city venue, and I can't step in and start asking people to help, and that's not my point. I'm just here to sort of put something forward. But yeah, I think that's something that would need to be addressed. Certainly with the aquafit, I don't know the numbers of the aquafit, but I'd say there's quite a lot. And honestly, people, if they did 2 a week, 2 aquafits or 2 lap swims or 2 learn to swims would be sufficient to sort of cater to that.
Anything further? Dr. Rogers, thank you very much for your submission. Call upon Jeff McConnell.
Thank you for the offer to present our submission to the budget. I'll hand over to Peter Gamble for the introduction.
Good morning, councillors. Good morning, staff. My name's Peter Gamble. Our submission is based on the horse and the horse activities. The horse has played a significant contribution to the history and the development of our region. Bow Desert and Scenic Rim have long been known as having the highest per capita of horse ownership in Australia. Sport tourism is one of the largest and fastest growing segments of the travel and tourist industry. Scenic Rim has a focus on the viability of our tourism, our ecotourism, and our agri-tourism. Events form a key part of the sport tourism landscape, and it is widely understood that major sporting events contribute significantly to the economic development and tourism traffic in a city or region. We've recently experienced this through 2 areas. One is the Eat Local and the Heavy Horse event in Boona, where interstate, local and international visitors and competitors attended. The intent of our proposal with regards to developing an equine centre is the positioning, the location of the complex as close as possible to the Bow Desert Township to increase economic return for accommodation, eating and dining operations and service providers. The intent is that the complex or centre will have a focus on equine activities. This complex area will focus on eventing, show jumping, dressage, cutting, and a current emerging new activity that is focused and is used by a wide range of new people entering the equine. The centre will have a state and national potential for state and national championships, from pony clubs through to EA standard. It has been shown that once a complex has been significantly planned and, more important, operating, then downstream operations in breeding, schooling, training and educational areas follow through event participation, equipment hire and retailing. This is evident through the likes of the recently opened Bowes Barn, which is now centred to the south of the town. We also have new horse trainers entering the market. Further to that, we believe that the centre will provide a focus point for equine activities leading on to trail riding and other camping facilities. I'll hand it over to Jeff.
Thank you. Scenic Rim, and especially Bow Desert, is the horse capital of the southeast. We all realise that. Part of the state growth management strategy has forced horse owners from our neighbouring councils to relocate out to the Scenic Rim. We also have had a huge migration from the southern states of horse owners coming up this way. Page 2 of your very own Scenic Rim Sport and Recreational Plan draft states that on page 2 of this, despite the limited availability of representative sports, the Scenic Rim holds potential as an elite hub for niche sports such as equestrian. We're not looking to build a concrete and steel monolith. We're after a low-cost facility that will require state and federal assistance and funding. Equestrian Queensland has a 10-year facilities plan, which was started in 2019. They're halfway through, and as part of their five-year review, they have already, the CEO has already stated they've identified a massive shortfall in a multi-use facility south of Brisbane. They have QSEC, the Queensland State Equestrian Centre, up at Caboolture. There's a facility, although minor, out at Gatton, Warwick, Toowoomba, but there is nothing to the south of Brisbane that can handle eventing and other equestrian sports. The Equestrian Centre will have a range of objectives, provide an event and training facility that serves the equine communities. It'll showcase the local equine industry in southeast Queensland, drive economic growth and development in the equine industry in the Scenic Rim and beyond, and provide a low-cost facility which can underpin and encourage participation in equestrian sports in the Scenic Rim, and obviously profile the Scenic Rim region as an equine hub. Equestrian is one of the only sports that stimulates regional and local economy. It needs vets, it needs hay, feed, farriers, saddlery, mechanics, tyre shops. Regional Development Australia, Ipswich and West Moreton, in their equine report way back in 2012, so over 10 years ago, quoted an average of $3,000 per horse is spent in the local economy every year. And this did not include vehicle or showing costs.
Jeff, thank you. We're approaching past the 5-minute mark. Could I just ask if...
I'm just finished. A multi-use equestrian facility in Beaudesert will benefit the local and regional equestrian community, as well as bring economic growth to the Beaudesert area. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff and Peter, for that presentation. There's no doubt the points that you make in terms of the history of that equine has as an imprint in our region, both not only to the social fabric but the economic contribution over decades, almost to the state that this former council had a dedicated equine strategy, which is probably worth noting for consideration going forward. So thank you very much for your presentation, and I open to the floor for any Q&A.
Yes, Mayor, Jeff or Peter, either one. How do you compare this to the Boona one, which is going to be used in the next couple of months? I think it is August they're expecting to. Will it be a different type of thing? Would you mind drawing some comparison to it, please?
Yeah, thank you. The difference between the Beaudesert and Tiviot Park at Boona, Tiviot Park is a single use. The equestrian centre that we're proposing be built at Beaudesert will be a multi-use. So different horse events require different surfaces. A different surface is required for show jumping compared to dressage, compared to cutting, compared to reining, compared to ranch. So the equestrian centre proposal for Beaudesert will have multiple arenas, some outdoor and hopefully 2 indoor. So it will augment the Tiviot Park. So Tiviot Park, the Beaudesert one will also have facility for parking and camping. And when I say camping, it's not intense because most Christian people either have a gooseneck or horse float. They require power, water, and grey water for their setups. So it's totally different than what's happening out at Boona at this stage.
Jeff or Peter, you've mentioned that you need between 60 to 70 of hectares of land within the immediate Beaudesert precinct. What have you done to try to identify a suitable location? And the second part is, how are you going to fund it?
Okay, so we're not going to discuss where we've identified because that could jeopardise any purchase of land that council may decide. We will discuss in confidential some areas that we believe would be suitable, but I don't believe airing it out in public would be in the best interests of council. Funding it, we're only asking for a business case at this stage. As with anything, council, if they are going to get a grant, can't get a grant for purchase of land, so it may require the purchase of land, but the funding would come from state and federal to provide the facility.
Thank you. Anything further? Thank you for your submissions, gentlemen. And I would now like to call upon Sharon Ray.
Good morning, Mayor, CEO, councillors, managers and council staff. Thank you for allowing us to present the submission on behalf of the Coralbin to Boona Road Action Group. We'll address the submission as far as the situation, background and assessment and recommendation. So the situation is that Coralbin is an isolated community within the Scenic Rim, which is zoned as major tourism and aligned with Canungra and Kalbar in the township's hierarchy by Scenic Rim Regional Council. Coralbin has one road in and one road out and has no connection to the closest neighbouring community, which is Boona. Background. As Council is aware, both the Coralbin and Boona communities have advocated for Coralbin Road to link directly from Coralbin to Boona for the last 32 years. A feasibility study was conducted by a Boona resident in 1991 and a private design engineering company was engaged in 2005 to provide drawings for a route from Coralbin to Boona via Green Hills Road. Numerous politicians from federal and state governments have pledged verbal and financial support both in parliamentary settings and via media interviews. A petition has also been presented to Parliament. Both Coralbin and Boona communities have been surveyed to gauge their current support. We received 1,063 responses, with 925 yes and 138 no. A detailed document has been presented to Council and various other MPs, both state and federal. Submissions were made to Council in 2023 in relation to the draft budget and also the draft state budget as recommended by the Regional Council CEO at that time. There is no mention of the submission presented to Council at their ordinary meeting on May the 9th, 2023 in Council's responses to submissions. The response from the submission to the state government explained that advocacy for funding for this road is required at the local government level. Regional Development Australia, Ipswich and Westmoreton have identified the road as a missing link within the region due to the absence of this connecting road. Candidates for the recent council election have endorsed support for this road in writing. Assessment. The newly elected council is focused on meeting the wishes of the community. Evidence would suggest that both the Coralban and Boona communities wish to be connected by road. Coralban Road until 2015 joined Green Hills Road. However, due to a submission to council, the name was changed to Copperhead Road. This would indicate that both ends of Coralban Road were intended to be joined, hence the gazetted road. The remaining section of Coralban Road is identified as a local road of regional significance. These roads are required to be reviewed every 2 years, and council is required to provide a statement of intent for the road. These roads are identified as connecting communities to services such as health, entertainment and recreation. They are also intended to reduce travel time. The Coralban community is at a disadvantage compared to other communities within the Scenic Rim that have connecting roads, for example, Calbar Connection Road, Mundoolan Connection Road, Roadvale to Harrisville, Teviotville to Roadvale, to name a few. To connect Coralban and Boona, a distance of 5 kilometres of new road would be required, and a further upgrade of the existing part gravel, part bitumen road for the remaining section towards Boona. Recommendation: the Coralban to Boona Road Action Group is requesting that Scenic Rim Regional Council allocates money within this budget to conduct a feasibility study, cost-benefit analysis for a road connecting Coralban to Boona. It is time for this project to be recognised as a necessary, viable and sustainable piece of infrastructure that will bring enormous economic and social benefits to the whole region. It is time that this project is moved to the top of the list of planning priorities for the region. A connection road between Coralban and Boona would benefit not only Coralban communities, there would be immeasurable benefits would be felt across the entire Scenic Rim. For example, tourism. The hidden vista along Green Hills Road is breathtaking. A road would showcase this view to tourists from Queensland, Australia and international visitors. A lookout and cafe would provide another Scenic Rim destination. A tourist drive would attract visitors from Ipswich, Brisbane, Gold Coast and beyond who may wish to connect with the Lions Road into New South Wales or vice versa. Overnight stays and tourist spending would increase. There will be increased employment opportunities due to an increase in tourist visitation. Increased access to employment opportunities for Coralban residents, example, the new CalFresh enterprise. Coralban residents are currently disadvantaged if they wish to work in Calbar or Boona. A road from Coralban to Boona would reduce travel time and fuel costs and improve work-life balance.
Sharon, if you wouldn't mind concluding in the next minute. Thank you.
Increased safety, provision of a second evacuation route, fire prevented residents from leaving out or entering Coralban due to one road in and out being closed by emergency officials in 2023. This situation is not acceptable. There would be a social connection, golf affiliation, sporting events, markets, food cuisine, arts and culture, music festivals, improved access to health. Boona is to become a major activity centre. We have poor mental health statistics in Coralban and this could possibly help with that. The Coralban Resort has been named as a satellite village for the rowing teams in 2032. A missed opportunity exists to add to the mantra, Destination Scenic Rim without this connecting road.
Ladies, thank you very much for your submission. I note, and thank you for your commitment. I think in various community members have advocated now over 30 years for this road, and you've both taken up the mantle and continue that advocacy. It's very well appreciated by your community, and thank you for your submission today. Open it to any questions from the floor. It was quite a comprehensive submission, so no questions. Thank you, ladies. I'd now like to call upon Kelly Skews.
Good morning, Mayor Sharp, esteemed councillors, executive and community members. My name is Kelly Skews. I'm the Industry Liaison Officer at Boonah State High School, and I'm here today to talk to you about an exciting project that we have launched, the Boonah State High School bus. As you well know, transportation plays a vital role to a small regional school like Boonah High. Currently, we have identified that we are facing significant challenges in accessing extracurricular and off-campus activities for our students. The constraints come down purely to cost. For us to access a bus to travel to local or out of the local area, we are looking at a cost of $40 per student per trip. As you know, we are facing a cost of living crisis. We have had to make choices around what activities, educational, extracurricular, sporting and industry pathways we access so that we are not burdening our families with the financial cost of bus trip after bus trip after bus trip. Without this affordable solution, as I said, our students are missing out on valuable experiences outside the classroom. The bus that we have now secured will ensure that all students, regardless of economic circumstances, have the access to equitable access to all different learning experiences, both within the Scenic Rim and outside. The bus that we have taken will not only help Boonah State High School students, but will also help our local cluster of Fassifern schools. That's 11 primary schools plus the high school. Our local cluster of primary schools will benefit due to being able to access the bus at a greatly reduced price. You may not know that for schools like Arachula, Roadvale, for them to come in and do swimming lessons at the Boonah High School pool that's jointly owned by Education Queensland and the council, they are looking at a cost of about $3,500 a year just to access swimming lessons. This cost is then passed on to their families or raised through the PNCs, which again is becoming cost prohibitive for many families. This dedicated bus service will allow us to share our bus with these schools, and we will probably reduce that cost to something like $2 a head for them to come in. So that those funds can then be used back within their school or stay within the family's pockets, as we know everyone is struggling. As many of you know, Boonah State High School is committed to fostering industry partnerships. We are working with many agritourism and tourism providers to build different pathways for our students. We know that these are the sectors that are going to push our region forward, so we want our students to be ready to take over the mantle and become the leaders within our area. The bus will facilitate closer collaboration not only within the Fassifern area but also the other high schools and schools within the Scenic Rim. This has not been able to occur previously just due to the cost. We are hoping that we can build partnerships with Bow Desert High School and Tamborine High School to offer different services. We know that there's equestrian offered over here at Bow Desert High that our students can't access at the moment. We've also got a very successful cattle club and agriculture program at Boonah High, so we will be able to bring those students over, again, without the cost burden. The 32-seater bus arrived this week and we have named it Bertie. This is a 6-year lease and it has been undertaken at a cost of $30,000 a year. That $30,000 a year will cover all service, maintenance, fuel and all ongoing costs, so we have that known cost moving forward. We already have the licensed staff on site who can drive the bus, and this investment will substantially reduce that financial burden on parents. We are putting forward a submission to the Scenic Rim Regional Council asking for your support for this vital project. We propose the council could provide $5,000 a year for 4 years, and at this point the council would become a gold level sponsor of Boonah State High School. The council would then reap the benefits of this sponsorship by being promoted through our extensive social media reach of over 70,000 people, as well as reaching the 600 students and their families of Boonah State High School and the students and families of our 11 cluster primary schools. Thus far, the project has been funded for 3 years, all through community donation. We have 17 local industry partners and service clubs that have come on board to fund this project, and it is a great pleasure and proud moment for our school that we have been able to invite the community back in, and they have seen the difference that this will make. In building these industry pathways, we like to align with the Scenic Rim Council's economic development plan for ensuring that we are keeping our talent local by allowing us to take our students out to these businesses, see what's available, and showing our students that they don't need to leave the Scenic Rim to have a meaningful pathway moving forward. As a community-based school, we want to provide those opportunities for hands-on real-world learning experiences. It is a proven understanding that this generation wants to know why. Why are we learning this? Why is this relevant? By taking them out to industry, we are able to show them that. In conclusion, the bus will significantly enhance the educational experience for Boonah State High School students and our 11 cluster primary schools. It will promote inclusivity, accessibility and community engagement, ensuring that every student can participate fully in extracurricular, curricular and industry pathways without the need for financial barriers being a consideration. We urge the Council to support this submission, and we thank you for your continued support of the youth of the Fassifern.
Thank you, Kelly, and we've spoken about before, so congratulations to you on your dedication towards this initiative, and your passion really shone through today with good reason. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll open to the floor for questions.
Just a statement, if I may, very, very professional. You've obviously done a lot of work. We can see that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kel, just for clarification, you're looking for $5,000 a year, but you said you've got funding for the next 3 years?
So we funded three out of the 6 years for the bus so far. We have many businesses that have come on for 1 year, but they're saying, look, we will come on in following years, but they just need to wait and see what their business model looks like. We also have not aggressively pushed this within our region as yet. Most of our sponsors have come to us just through conversations. I've spoken with a lot of people in the room in regards to this project, and people go, wow, we want to be involved. So we believe that we will be able to continue to fund it for the 6 years and moving forward, but we would love council to be a part of that as well.
So just to follow on, is that from 3 to 6 years, or is it the next 3 years?
No, so the first 3 years we have funded, and we're looking to continue. We would, as soon as we have funded the 6 years, then we can move on to other projects within the school.
Okay.
Yeah, Kelly, thank you. You mentioned Beaudesert High and also Tamarine High. How do you see that being able to facilitate them schools and make it more of a regional approach to this bus?
Certainly. So like I said, we haven't been able to have those connections just purely due to distance. So we have started some conversations with Beaudesert High, with their new principal, around different projects that we could take on, whether that be sporting, within the vet sector, so vocational education and training. You have to have certain qualifications on your scope to be able to deliver them. So I would hope that moving forward, that if we were offering something at Boonah High and they had students at Beaudesert that wanted to be involved, they could come over, and same vice versa. A lot of those vocational education and training spaces, you need minimum numbers, and as a small school of 600 students, we can't often reach that. So if we were able to pool our resources, we could definitely do those. We also, obviously sporting, as a small school, we can't offer everything, and we understand that, and that's, you know, the cost benefit. Small school, there's lots of benefits. The loss is that we can't meet every need of every student all the time. So by able to share our resources across the 3 schools, just by allowing our students to get there, that will enhance the education opportunities that are available for all students across the region. It will also allow us, Boonah High works very closely with our 11 cluster primary schools. So at the moment we run things like STEM open days, where we go out, we take our STEM leaders from Boonah High, those students go out to the primary schools and engage in learning from the high school students to the primary school students. So that we'll be able to extend those opportunities. We'd like to extend that into arts, music and STEM in the local area, and then maybe we could come over this way as well.
Anything further? Kelly, thank you again.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to call upon Adrian Sandell.
Yes, good morning. Adrian Sandell. I'm the president of the Coralban Community Group, and thank you for inviting me here today to give my submission on a matter that's pretty dear to the hearts of a lot of people in Coralban. The situation is that Coralban has only one footpath. That footpath is located on Routley Drive and extends from Hinchcliffe Bridge to the vicinity of the men's shed. So this particular footpath was built back in '93, over 30 years ago, and by the current mayor, who was one of his passions to build a footpath for the school children to get to school, but it was never completed. So Coralban, the current demographics, it's home to a large proportion of elderly residents, and also these residents have various disabilities. There's a large group of these residents in the housing estate area of Yorgabar Close, which runs off Routley Drive. Our community group, the KCG, has been contacted by residents living at this location in relation to the need for a footpath from Yorgabar Close to the shopping village located on Wellington Bundock Drive. It has been observed residents with wheelie walkers or motorised scooters driving along the road in traffic, which is not ideal. For them to get to the shops currently, it's necessary to walk or drive their mobility scooters on the grassed area beside the road, and it's uneven and hazardous. This area of Routley Drive is closed to the entry and exit of the pavilion. It's close to the entry and exit of the Pavilion Tavern and also the mountain bike park entry. The KCG wrote to Council on March 16, 2022, requesting that Council acknowledge that Coralban has only one footpath and that they consider additional footpaths in Coralban when drafting the next footpath and bikeway strategy. The KCG also wrote to Council again on June 5th, 2022. The KCG received a reply from Council on July 7th that stated that the request would be considered with other identified footpath and bikeway locations within the region for future budget submission consideration. The KCG completed the submission to Council at the ordinary meeting on May 9th, 2023 for the 2023-2024 draft budget feedback assessment. The KCG, on behalf of the Coralban community, has engaged with the previous councillor for Division 4, written to Council, and also provided submission through the Council's Let's Talk Scenic Rim portal. It is now 2 years since the KCG first raised the issue of Coralban only having the one footpath, and there was an attachment that showed the footpaths that are currently in Kelbar, which seems to have double the footpaths that Coralban has, yet we've got a larger population, 1697, with over 600 residents aged between 60 and 79 years compared to Kelbar, which has 1,246 people, approximately 330 residents aged 60 to 79. So it clearly shows that we've got more elderly people, but a lot less footpaths. The area for footpaths in Coralban is flat topography, as is Kelbar, so the area that we're proposing wouldn't be too difficult to traverse. So, yeah, there's a disproportionate distribution of footpaths between the two communities. The recommendation is that the KCG requests the council allow money within the budget to provide a means for elderly and disabled in Carrolton to be able to walk safely from the housing on Yulgabar Close to the shopping centre on Wellington Bundock Drive as a priority. It's roughly 500 metres, so it's not a huge distance, it's not a huge expense, we don't believe. And the KCG believes council should rectify this inequity in the budget. And how would it benefit the community? A footpath from Yulgabar Close to Carrolton Shopping Centre on Wellington Bundock will provide safe access for pedestrians living in the housing units at Yulgabar Close. A footpath would encourage the elderly to walk to the shopping centre instead of driving a car or some other means, and it would contribute to their health and well-being. So due to the number of units in this collection of housing, a footpath would improve the lives of over 100 residents that currently live there. Okay, thank you.
Adrian, thank you very much for your submission and also making it strongly evidence-based and putting that forward for consideration. I'll just call upon the floor for any questions. It looks like everyone's clear on their understanding. Thank you
Okay,
again.
no worries. Thank you.
I'd like now to call upon Julia Byatt, please.
Just caught me a little bit unawares there. Yep. G'day to all the present councillors, staff and people in the gallery. And thanks for allowing us to present this submission for the aims and goals of the RPA, which stands for Roadvale Progress Association. I'm Russell Roberts, Roadvalian all of my life. The question has been asked, where the bloody hell is Roadvale? Because it's not on your sign out in the footpath there. But anyway, all roads lead to Roadvale, pretty well in the middle of Boona, Harrisville, Calbar and Peak Crossing. The RPA was formed in 2001 when newcomers and those already living in the area expressed a desire for increased community connection and representation. Since then, the members have organised and run events, helped volunteers and volunteered to help other organisations with their events. We've received a small grant from the Scenic Rim Regional Council, but at this stage we've raised pretty well $20,000. Surveys conducted by the RPA, the full description of these surveys and that are attached in a detailed report submission that's in front of you. The community has expressed a strong desire and ambition to develop parkland and install public toilet facilities on council-owned land alongside and behind the Roadvale School of Arts. This land was identified as future parkland by the council, Boona Shire Council, in the late 70s and early 80s when the development of the Panorama Drive estate took place. That council installed an uncovered playground, the sun mustn't have been as hot then, a shelter over a picnic table and a barbecue which has been removed since then. In recent years, community members have taken on keeping the grassed area maintained when major events and that were being held at the School of Arts, and it just didn't fit in with the council mowing roster and that, but never had any trouble getting volunteers to help tidy that up. And when it's become a bit uncared for and looked unloved at times, we all just hop in and do a little bit to tidy the area up. We see the parkland, once developed with barbecue facilities installed, playground upgrade, etc., will be used by locals and visitors to the area for families and group gatherings. Longer term project, an amphitheatre and signage boards, artefacts about the Roadvale and surrounding areas to keep the history and everything on board would be on the agenda. I ask you all to read in full the submission put before you. There's a lot more detail in that than we can go through in our 5 minutes. The RPA and community wish and need to continue to work with the Scenic Rim Regional Council advisors and Councillor McGuinness. As in the past, we have had a couple of consultations with people from the council. I believe the one thing, the most important thing that we need on this land to make this all happen and go ahead is a goddamn dunny, is a must in the public area. I will now hand over to my colleague, RPA member, Rita.
I don't know how to turn this thing on. This one? Okay. Hi, my name is Rita Niebling. I'm a member of the Roadvale Progress Association, and I'm also a member of the Roadvale State School P&C. But most importantly, I'm a mother of a young child, Arthur, who's 6. I wish to speak to our request for the council to positively consider the installation of a good quality public toilet as the cornerstone of the park development. We request that it be considered for this year's council budget. As documented on page 5, point F of the written submission, details the distribution of council-owned public toilets in the western side of the Scenic Rim that service the smaller villages, and it appears that Roadvale has been overlooked considering the number that we had, and that was back in 2021 those numbers were done, and we're only growing. With the potential to serve 3,000 to 4,000 residents in the nearby areas, many travellers through our town, such as workers, tourists, groups using the park, it would be a meaningful use of ratepayers' money. It's unfair to expect the Roadvale Hotel and local residents to provide toilets for those who are not guests. We've had many reports that the toilet facilities have been requested by road workers, tourists, tradies, and even other community members. The draft public amenities strategy 2021 to 2031 indicated that the Scenic Rim Regional Council were considering the construction of 4 more public toilets, or public amenities. In line with this report, the model of toilet described as remote would be suitable outcome for the Roadvale Village. Finally, as a mother of a child at the Roadvale State School and an active member of the P&C, it would be most welcome development for other parents and myself that I could take my son and his children up to the Roadvale Park, knowing there was a public toilet. A play area that could be used for fun, play, community connection, and so much more. On many occasions, I've had to leave the park whilst catching up with family and friends due to there not being a toilet. I really urge you to consider the requests of the Roadvale Progress Association and the Roadvale community in a positive light. And I really thank you for your time today as well. Thank you very much.
Russell and Rita, thank you very much, both for your Russell and Rita, thank you very much for your submission. And yes, it is quite detailed, there's absolutely no doubt about that, but also thank you for your contribution to your community and to the region. It is the volunteers are the backbone in terms of the progress of our smaller communities. And of course, we acknowledge Arthur and your passion for your children. Thank you. I'll open up to Q&A. Nothing.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the diagram that you've submitted, and I see the Roadvale School of Arts is in the top left-hand corner there. Are there any toilets associated with that building?
Indoor toilets there is, yeah.
So that, I assume when it's not in use, it's locked?
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Yep.
so it's
Yeah,
not,
it's like if there's any function going on out around the outer area, the hall is normally unlocked. Yeah,
so it's not accessible?
not accessible to general public, no.
Right, okay,
no.
thank you.
Please.
And Dorothy Dixer in some ways, but yeah, compared to other towns, I know you did some figures on how we sat, and I take it it's in the document, but yeah, compared to other towns, where does Roadvale stand?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there it has Maroon, 152 residents, one public toilet, Mount Alfred, 294, one public toilet, Rathdowney, 320 residents and 3 toilets, Warrell 203, one toilet, Yellow Pinch, 64 residents, one toilet, Roadvale, 303 residents and 0.
We are also heavily, we are in the middle of like the Roadvale Hotel, which is picking up. We've also got the Olive View Estate. All that is written in the submission as to other events or businesses in our area. And we are continuously growing. Like even just the school, we've gone from 35 kids last year to 40 just this year. And that is, and we're looking at what's coming in next year, and we're getting even more children. So we are definitely getting more families to the area. But that also brings us more visitors to the area. And having that park area to be able to take the kids is definitely required.
Nothing further? Thank you. Yes, there's no doubt about it, Roadvale. You go out there today, the growth and the visitation is very notable, and there's a definite change taking place. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And now I'd like to call upon our final submitter, Pete Myers.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Welcome, Pete.
Thanks for inviting me to be part of this. I'm sure most of you know about the hop on, hop off by now. I've been pretty vocal about it, but I wanted to take you back a little while to last year. We were speaking with local businesses. We're involved in the bushfire recovery program we presented here at Council for our tourism hub on the Gold Coast, and received support for that. And out of that program, we found that there was a lot of businesses in the Scenic Rim and Tamborine Mountain that had no public transport. One of the projects within that program was a bus to Cauldron Distillery. They were going to do one. They actually handed off that program to us, so we took it seriously, started trialling it, and Cauldron Distillery, Tamborine Mountain Distillery and St Bernard's actually kicked in a bit of funding, just private funding, to pay for a driver for 3 months. We did a trial from October, 3 months, and we found it so successful. We were picking up 30 to 40 people a week that get stuck on the mountain. They get an Uber to the mountain, they get stuck there, and the locals are either trying to drive them to a train station or it was a bit of a mess. So we saw the need, and then since then I've invested $600,000 in buses, advertising. I've been to India, Japan, New Zealand. I'm marketing the hell out of it. We're currently up to 400 people a month usage between Brisbane and Gold Coast. So we're running dedicated service every day from 8:30 at Brisbane. It gets to the mountain before 10 o'clock. Same with the Gold Coast, 8:30 from the Gold Coast, gets to the mountain by about 9:30. And then it operates all day until 3:30 around the mountain, so hourly services that can be expanded with another bus. It's half an hour, so it's on demand. But it's basically can be scaled by using tourism to pay for it. It can be utilised to support the local transport that doesn't exist. So you've got bus stops that are falling apart around Tamborine. There's two on Alpine Terrace, across the road from each other. There's one near the Fortitude Brewery, just off Long Road. There's two on Beacon Road. There doesn't seem to be any over the Southport Avenue side, but what we're requesting is for support for a feasibility study so that you can see the data that we see. We have data to contribute to that as well. And a trial for a bus stop, so a sustainable bus stop, solar or wind powered, with a digital screen that shows live availability for the buses. So you're not relying on a timetable. You can see where the bus is, you can see when it's early, see when it's late, get local information. You could even advertise for, chamber members on the screens. You could put advertising there to help pay for it as well. But really using Tamborine as a use case, as an example that we can then expand throughout the Scenic Rim. So I run tours to Summerland Camels at Harrisville. We run tours out, all throughout the Scenic Rim, and it's very difficult it's very expensive to run public transport to a region that's so big. But we've developed an app that allows any bus service to plug a GPS transponder into their vehicle. We assign a route and they can be part of the network. So it's using Tamborine as a use case to show that it can work for a tourism region. I think it also needs to be backed up by a tourism master plan because we really don't have one in the Scenic Rim. I was just at ATE in Melbourne, which is the biggest tourism exchange for the industry in Australia. Scenic Rim doesn't have no representation. We rely on BETA, who have their own interests in mind. They're gearing up for the Olympics. They don't care about Scenic Rim. So we need to be there. We need to be advertising to the agents and telling the people who are travelling here not to self-drive, to use the public infrastructure that we have built and will expand. And you're reducing impact on the environment. So every bus we fill takes 20 cars off the road. If you're on Tamborine on the weekend, you saw what a mess it is. So as soon as you get school holidays, you get families parking anywhere, rubbish all over the place, people just not organised or uninformed. You speak to them about where they went in the day and they missed half the businesses because they don't know where they are. So by using this infrastructure, we can not only provide transport, but also provide a sustainable, educated customer and support the region and allow the growth that it needs to continue.
Thank you. Could I open up to any questions from the floor? Councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just interesting about your comments about beta and things. I just wondered whether Destination Scenic Rim has been any assistance to you, or if you've been in contact with them. I'm just be interested.
Yeah, I've had in-depth conversations with Christelle Mola. She is supportive of what we're doing, and she does agree that we do need to, have another focus rather than just relying on a self-drive market who are unpredictable. They can all show up at once or they can not show up. By actually having a plan where we go to these tourism events together, we start, the people with the businesses going overseas in the market like I do, and having a plan. The Gold Coast set a tourism master plan in 2009. It was done by Paul Donovan. It's still used today and it's been successful. So that average visitor spend in 2019 was about $209. Currently it's $169. And you've got people that can't get to your region because there's no bus. I think the only bus I was able to find was a 540 to Bow Desert, and a tourist isn't going to use it. So we've got set pickups in Brisbane, currently Brisbane Marriott, Royal on the Park, Emporium South Bank. We cover all across you can get there within a 15-minute walk from any hotel. To any of the pickups, and same on the Gold Coast, Sheraton, Grand Mirage, Voco and the Star Casino, so we cover that already, and then more buses allow more pickups, and it's just really easy to expand once it gets moving. And I've seen, it's probably going to kill my wine tours because it's going to make it too easy to get up there, but I believe in it. It benefits the community. I have a vision where we can offer free transport for over 67s around the mountain. To actually, we can take people to the pool, we can take them to the doctors, take them to the pharmacy. There's more that it can do, but we just need to trial it. We need to update those bus stops. I think you catch something trying to sit in them at the moment, not a bus. The sustainable digital screen, the information, we're bringing it into the future, into what it should be, enhancing the visitor experience so they want to come back. They bring more friends, more family members, and the region continues to grow, but in a sustainable way.
Pete, Councillor Sanders preempted part of my question, which was going to be about the involvement with Destination Scenic Rim. What interaction and support have you had from the Tamborine Mountain Chamber of Commerce?
So Tamborine Chamber is also supportive. They've actually offered to allocate some of their budget to help upgrade the existing bus stops. I think we can do it with a small budget, but I really think the long-term plan would be to digitise it and have that that usage available. I think it's on page 20 in the 39-page submission, but you can see the model of the bus stop with the screens. It shows local businesses, it shows what's available, but while they're waiting for a bus, so it really enhances that visitor experience. They're not anxious or stressed, worrying if the bus is going to come. They can see it moving around on the map. And it's simple technology. It's not difficult to implement, and yeah, it'll really change the way people move around the mountain, both locals and tourists.
Are your buses constantly on the move, or do they need to park up at any time? I ask that because of the shortage of coach parking facilities on the mountain.
So currently we use the venues that we visit. The buses are constantly on the move, and there's no need for them to stop except for the driver going for a quick bite to eat during the day. So no, there's no need for additional infrastructure. But I would like, the things that are there, like the winery on Gallery Walk, that could have a bus stop there. There could be better usage of the infrastructure, and it's not that expensive. I think I considered $28,000 for a digital bus stop with solar panels, so it's not a huge expense when you consider the long-term growth. That bus stop could be there for 30 years. So,
just to comment on that, at the moment the bus stops on Tamborine Mountain are subject to a large amount of graffiti, which is expensive to remove. So what sort of facility exists in your planned model for a bus stop that would inhibit graffiti and the expense associated with removing it? Because the bus stops on the mountain are currently being cleaned and it's repeatedly graffitied.
So I think the current bus stops they don't have electricity, they don't have lighting. It's quite easy for someone to hide in there and be mischievous. Electricity allows a camera for monitoring. You can also use nano paint that resists graffiti as well. So there's technology available now that can be done. The initial bus stops were put there by the Rotary, I believe. But if you look, they're rotting, they're falling apart. The seats are falling apart or non-existent. They're not in a good state at the moment. So if we show what can be done, I think there's also precedent for the state government to get involved and actually back it as well with the transport infrastructure. So, but I think we need to show them as a council what we can do. And to be honest, we're going to do most of it for you. You just need to support us and help a little bit. So, yeah.
Nothing further? Pete, thank you very much. And it's good to see some solutions coming along or potential solutions for an issue that never goes away in this or has been growing in this region for some time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentations today. I just call upon the councillors if they would like to make any closing comments in regards to the submissions.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'd really love to thank everybody for coming and making the submissions. It's really wonderful to see people coming up with ideas and solutions and options that probably we may not have considered. We may have, but love the idea of it. It's really difficult going through the budgets and the budget negotiations, and of course you've added some extra complexity to that, so thanks for that. No, I'm just kidding, but you know, it's really good to have these sort of ideas come forward. And I've got to say thank you for being brave too, for coming up. This is not easy, stepping up and letting us know what you think. So I think I speak for all the councillors by saying thank you so much for your bravery and your passion and your enthusiasm. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone further?
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time and energy to put together a presentation and for coming today to present. Not only do we have the submissions that you've presented here today, but there were a significant number of other presentations as well, and they covered a vast range of activities from curbside cleanups to stopping rural overdevelopment, the Tamborine Mountains Sports Association, 2 brick barbecues at Cowbar, the tendering process, live music at the centre, future shopping centre for Bow Desert, environmental issues with weed control, money for Destination Scenic Rim, as well as the ones you've presented today. So there has been quite an extensive range of activities that have been proposed through the submissions, but I thank you for coming today and putting your suggestions forward with passion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just echo Jennifer's, Councillor Sanders' words. Very professional what was presented to us here today, and it's a credit to each and every one of you, yeah, what was done. And now it's over to us to see if we can, what we can do about it, I suppose.
Thank you. Nothing further. I would just like also to thank you. One, for the quality of the submissions. There's an incredible amount of work that's been put into each of those submissions by you, and to thank you as your contribution for community members. You're doing it in some relation in relation to business, but very much a community need, and it's your work and dedication bringing that forward on behalf of the region. So that has to be acknowledged. And so thank you very much. And yes, it is now a matter for Council to fully consider and deliberate appropriately. But thank you for your engagement. And I will now draw the meeting to a close at 10:13 a.m. Thank you very much.